Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lunchtime Infrastructure Chat. Yeah, let's get started. What is this chat? So it's about like how I organized and ran HackDalton, and then how I wrote some problems. It'll be quick so you can get back to working soon. I thought it might be interesting for a lot of you if maybe you want to run some sort of hackathon or programming competition in the future. By the way, no need to take notes or anything. Slides are available online. Also, please ask questions in the YouTube chat or in the Zoom chat. I'll answer them as I receive them. So organizing a programming competition, it's way harder than I expected. It turns out that writing problems is actually pretty hard. And there's also a lot of non-technical aspects that I really didn't anticipate, like sponsorships and marketing. But I don't want you to get the wrong idea. It is a lot of fun. So we'll get the boring non-technical stuff out of the way first. So marketing was mostly done by my brother, Benjamin. Yeah, thank you, Benjamin, if you're watching. So Instagram was probably our main marketing tool that we used. Yeah, Instagram really allowed us to connect to a lot of people across the country and even internationally. I know there's a lot of Canadians here. Yeah, that was something that was really helpful. Dalton also has daily announcements and a Sunday blast, which we put it in. And I also reached out to some CS teachers at other schools to tell their students, specifically in the New York City area, I reached out to them. Sponsorship, in terms of sponsorships, I first reached out to companies that I have friends at, like Partbolt, and then reached out to companies for things that I needed, like Linode. I reached out to a lot of companies, and not all of them got back, but it was still a surprising number did, which was something that I really learned is that, like, don't be afraid to just go out and like ask questions. In terms of the more technical things, HackDalton runs on 2 servers. They're both running Ubuntu, version 20.04 LTS and 18.04 LTS. HackDalton Game and HackDalton Problems. HackDalton Game holds the game server, so that's game.hackdalton.com, and HackDalton Problems runs the problem server. So I see a question, why am I running 2 LTS versions? So originally, they were both running 20.04, but so we run 20.04 Docker, the containerizing engine, doesn't really work that well in 20.04. It doesn't have official support for it. So originally, I had set up both servers on 20.04, and then tried to set up Docker on one of them, and unfortunately had to downgrade. But 18.04 is still supported, so so there's no real problem there. Everything static runs on Netlify. Even some static problems run on Netlify. That's why occasionally a problem will have a separate subdomain, not problems.hackdalton.com. That was just to try and reduce the strain on the servers. And the reason I run 2 servers is because I wanted to keep the problems separate from everything else, because I think some of the problems, so I tried to like containerize the problems as much as I could, but no, it's not too late to find the flag. We haven't gotten there yet. Sorry. But I tried to separate tried to keep them separate because I tried to containerize the problems as much as I could, but I was still worried that there might be some issues with the problem server or the game server. Like this morning, we had some issues with the game server, but the problems were still up and running. So that way, if one thing fails, the other still keeps working. Game management, it's a modified version of CTFD, which is open source software to run a CTF. So we made just a few modifications to simply just collect more information about like what school you go to, things like that. So our version is on GitHub. It's a public repository. And the CTFD website is ctfd.io. In terms of the help center, it runs on Discourse, which is forum software. Yeah, and you guys should totally ask questions on the help center. I'll give you a lot of hints. But yeah, it runs on Discourse, which was pretty easy to set up. It runs on the game server as well. In terms of video streaming, using YouTube Live and Zoom, which you probably could have figured out by now. Slide decks are Spectacle, React, Stylus, TypeScript, and Parcel. Emails, I use a program that I wrote called Simple Mailer, kind of a little plug here. In terms of problems, so one thing that I was really worried about was having people accidentally break other problems when they break a problem or getting around the containerizing. So I used Docker to containerize. At first, I was super nervous that Docker was going to use a lot of resources, but it turns out that it's actually not that bad, especially if you're running Alpine Linux, which is what I'm running. It's a version of Linux just meant to be like super stripped down and bare. Yeah, for the C problems, we maintained a few Docker images like our C build base and another one for problems that needed to have standard out and standard in piped to the network. After the competitions, I'll open source all the problems and their intended solutions. And lots of problems are based on other ones I've done, especially from PicoCTF. So if you've done PicoCTF, you might recognize a few problems. So problems are written in a variety of languages, mostly Go, TypeScript, C, but then also plenty of others. There's certainly some Python, some C++, yeah, others. I'm not going to tell you all the languages because I give away some stuff. I use Airport to redirect standard in and standard out to network ports. That's another plug. So there's a program that I wrote to generate flags called for flag generation. It's open source, but maybe this might be something that's helpful. I'll paste it in the chat. Yeah, that might be something helpful for a lot of people. I'll paste it in the YouTube chat as well. Yeah, so that's a program to generate flags just for random flags. It's not too interesting, just needed to put that there. In terms of problem testers, shout out to Alex Duder and Adam Boski. So they both tested problems. I gave them hints as they needed it along the way, and they helped me determine what information I should add to the problem descriptions. So originally, some of the problems were too hard, so I added some hints. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. In terms of guest problem writers, they took pressure off me to write problems. I was supposed to have more, but unfortunately, that fell through a little. They allowed me to write better problems in areas I don't know as well. For example, I know web exploitation pretty well. So Alex wrote a ton of the problems in the binary exploitation category. And pretty much the only direction that I gave them was write a problem that can run in a Docker container. So yeah, they were free to do pretty much whatever they wanted in whatever language they wanted. So writing a successful problem. One thing that was the thing that was pretty easy was like a good point was to use technologies that you know well. So Go is a language that I know pretty well and I've been using. Come up with some sort of backstory and then base it on like real world exploits. I really didn't want to do things that were just like exploits made up for the problem because that seemed wrong. Like it seemed misleading and it wouldn't actually help you. And then a good problem gives the solver like a feeling of progress every so often. So I tried to write problems that did this. So like there's different steps to them. Yeah. So it's surprisingly hard to write insecure code, which I learned. So modern libraries like Flask or SQL, SQL's a language, not a library, I guess, but they try to prevent you from doing insecure things. And you actually have to like sort of try and get around them to write insecure code. For some problems like C, I had to write polyfills for functions that had been removed. I don't know if it's called a polyfill, but I'm used to web development, so polyfill in web development. Yeah, because C removed some vulnerable functions. Yeah, and you often have to tiptoe around things that prevent you from writing insecure code. So that's something that, yeah, so it makes it pretty hard to write insecure code. Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. And good luck with the rest of the competition. Also, just looking at the scoreboard, I can see that Tech Hacks has solved a lot of the problems so far. So good job to them. They're in first place right now. And only one team has solved the homemade HTTP problem, which is a good problem, which is interesting. And hi, congrats on solving it. Yeah, and 2 teams have solved GetUpHigh too, which is cool. Thanks, Charlie, for a nice job. So it was great to talk to you all.
Did anybody solve Lunchtime chat yet?
Yes, people did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so thank you guys. Bye.